So I have been thinking about leadership and what is happening in the world today and observing many of the things that are going on. I want to share some thoughts for leaders, for those of you who are leading organizations, leading divisions, leading countries, leading cities, whatever it is that you're leading schools, your division, whatever it may be. I think the first thing is be grateful that you have been given the opportunity to lead. You've got this opportunity, of course, because of your ability, but not only because of your ability. Several other factors have played a key role in getting you to that position. There have been others, and there will be others, and there were others who were as good or better than you, but fortune did favor you. And you might be brave, and so fortune might favor you a little more. However, fortune has favored you. And to that extent, every leader ought to be grateful that he or she has had the opportunity, has been given the opportunity to lead. And let us never forget this truth. Now I am a leader, and I now have to deliver. So there are things to achieve. There are things to do. Let's get very clear about this. It's not only what you achieve, it's equally, if not more important, how we achieve it. Your success is a function not just of how far you have progressed. It's a function of how far and how many of those you are leading have progressed. Leadership is about those you are fortunate enough to lead. Have they done better under your stewardship? Have you been able to really develop them and make their lives better, make them feel that under your stewardship, with your help, they have been able to achieve more, they are happier, and they feel more confident? Let us always remember that we should not make the mistake of letting one set of people feel better than others when we are in a position of leadership because of our actions. This is particularly true. You're a finance man and you become, or a finance woman, and you become the CEO of your company. Don't be partisan towards the finance division. No, you have now a responsibility to take care of everyone. In the political context, this is even more critical. And one of the things that Donald Trump is doing is simply trying to tell his base, which is a small segment of the American population, that he is working for them. When he goes to his rallies, he talks about we. And that we is one of the most exclusive we's one can ever think of. His we is about the people who are there in the audience, and they are a very, very partisan audience. So let us take a lesson from Donald Trump and see that we do not bring this behavior to play in our organization as leaders. We human beings look up to our leaders and emulate them. The child looks up at its parents and emulates the behavior of its parents. It is no different in the organizational context. We see what our bosses do, or what our leaders do, and knowingly or unknowingly, deliberately or otherwise, we begin to mimic that behavior. So if I as a leader am corrupt or I like to cut corners, you can bet your boots that I can bet my boots that my followers, that those in my organization will say, this pays dividends. This is what the boss wants. Never mind what the boss preaches. This is what the boss is doing. And therefore, I must do what he does. And if what he does or what she does not resonate or is not aligned with what he says or what she says, then I should forget about what he or she is saying and focus on what he or she is doing. So, as a leader, you have grave responsibility as to how you behave, because your behavior will be demonstrated in each and every employee or each and every person who is being led by you. Today, needless to say, we live in a knowledge-driven world, and as a leader, you, of course, you have to have subject matter expertise, domain knowledge, and that is what is known as in-depth knowledge. You have subject matter expertise, that's the depth. But equally important, as you move up the ladder and as your leadership expands to more and more people or more and more operations in your organization, then you have to expand your knowledge. And expansion is width, not just depth. You don't have to be an expert at everything. You cannot be an expert at everything in today's super specialized world where new things are born every second. What you need is to be able to get a broad understanding of how things happen when they get together. Now, how you can bring different forces together. This requires breadth. So the depth you would have acquired as you are growing up in the organization, and that's where you really build the subject matter expertise. But now you require the width. You require the capability of seeing much, much more broadly what is going on and enveloping a broader landscape and understanding a broader landscape. That's absolutely vital. In order to do this, there are some methods available to us. Surround yourself with people who are very, very good at things you are not very, very good at. So if you are not good in human resources or managing people, shame on you, surely. But apart from that, surround yourself with a person or two who are excellent human people, people-related people, who can relate to people, who can get along with people, because they will be the shield and they will advise you and guide you and help you overcome some of the difficulties you might have in that area. So don't surround yourself with people who are good in the same areas that you are good at. In order to have a team, a balanced team, all kinds of capabilities are required. Also, make sure that you have set standards based upon what you think is simply non-negotiable. Now, as a leader, you would often find yourself in a position you're not sure whether you should go this way or that way. You're the horns of a dilemma. One of the methods I have found very useful is to build a board of directors for yourself. This is an artificial board of directors. It should consist of 4 or 5 people who you absolutely respect and admire. They need not all be alive. You can greatly admire a Nelson Mandela or a Mahatma Gandhi or an Abraham Lincoln. That's fine. But you tell yourself, if Gandhi were alive or Lincoln were alive and he heard that I did this, what would he say to me? And that is one way to embrace people who really you respect. Now that's people who are not around you. And then within the sphere of the people who are around you, it could be some very good friends, it could be a mentor, it could be someone you worked with in the past, it could be a member of the family for whom you have a lot of respect. So surround yourself with a handful of people who will be like your board of directors. And when you're faced with this dilemma, put this question to yourself: if I did this, what would each member of my board have to say? I have found this very helpful for me whenever I have been faced with a dilemma. I've not always taken necessarily what would be the best or right decision, but I've actually at least been able to live with the decision that I took. And if it went wrong, then I would learn from it, hopefully, and move on with it. So surround yourself with a board of directors. As we grow older, we tend to become less curious. Curiosity seems to be the domain of children. So let us not forget to remain curious. There's so much happening on this earth that if I stop being curious, I'm as good as being dead. Be curious to learn. Always be curious to ask, why is it this way? What is happening in this area? Spend time doing things that you don't normally do, particularly things that you don't necessarily like to do, for example, or you feel scared of. Uh, I'm not very good at drawing, for instance. If I am not very good at drawing, let me pick up a pencil and try to draw something, because that's the only way I can overcome that fear and also use a portion of my mind that is otherwise lying unused. And remember the famous adage, your brain is like a muscle. Use it or lose it. These are some thoughts I have for leadership. I would like to leave these thoughts with you. Feel free to give me feedback on what you think, and if there are any other topics that you would like me to discuss, I will also think of other topics to include.